Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the draw show for Aegis Defenders League and Aegis Vanguard League. My name is Ivar. I am joined by Duan. Are you here, buddy?
Yes, I am. Hello. How is everyone?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to get this draw show underway. We
hmm
have the wheel set up here for the first couple teams in ADL. You want to explain the process a little bit for the people tuning in for the first time to our draw shows?
Yep, sure thing. So, last night I was doing all the tier distributions for each of the team. We have it all set for both ADL and AVL. We are going to do the ADL teams first. So I just put into the Twitch chat the link for how the tier distributions are going to look like. We are going to be updating this live as the wheel draws each of the teams into their respective divisions. So for ADL, we have the Ionia division and the Freljord division. We are going to have two divisions split into 6 teams. Now, with that said, if you look at the tier distributions, we have 4 tier 1 teams, 4 tier 2 teams, and then 2 tier 3s and 2 tier 4s. For the sake of efficiency, we are going to do both the tier 3s and the tier 4s into one wheel. Then we'll do the tier 2s next, and then the tier 1s. So without further ado, with the tier 3 and the tier 4 teams, we have Omega Gaming Unleashed, MG Element, Lycorish, and the Collective Odyssey. So without further ado, Quanta, please spin the wheel. Alright, drawing into the Ionia division, we have our tier 4 team, the Collective Odyssey, into Ionia. So, with the Collective organization, we've known these guys across multiple amateur leagues. This will be their diamond and relatively high plat team composition coming into ADL.
Yeah. They're not backed. Their captain is Banana Bread, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
It's Banana Bread, yep.
Yeah, it's Banana Bread. They've been playing in our tournament ecosystem for some time. The collective organization. This specific roster had some players that were a little bit higher than the APL tier, so they decided to play up, and that's why they are in the ADL. And you see them slotted there into the Ionia division, so we can go ahead and spin the wheel.
Yep, let's do it. Into our failure division, let's see who's next. Alright, with the Freljord division, we're going to have Omega Gaming Unleashed, our tier 3 team. So, Omega Gaming Unleashed, that is a team owned by our commissioner Ivar. These are 5 well-known guys who have been together for quite a long time. I'm sure Ivar can give more information about them there.
Yeah, I would say 3/5, 4/5 of the roster have been competing together for 2 to 3 splits now. Different roles and whatnot, but they've all significantly ranked up from their previous plat leagues and have now joined up into a Diamond 1 cap league, and excited to see how they do.
Yep.
So they're going to be slotted into the Freljord division here shortly. Man, I swear to God, when we were doing the other APL draw show, I could not say Ixtal. Yeah, for the life of me.
Ixtal, I still don't know how to say that correctly. I wish Riot had some kind of like pronunciation for that.
Yeah, I know they did the pronunciation for the champions at some point, like on their wikis. Actually, yeah, but not for the divisions. Not
Look
the
at
divisions,
Twitch chat.
the regions.
They're all being grammar bots correcting us. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's spin the wheel just for the convenience sake, but because our tier 3s and our tier 4s have already been slotted into our respective divisions, that means the other tier 3 and the other tier 4 are going to be in the other division that the other team is not in. So that's already set up. Thank you so much, Quanta. So we're going to start off with MG Element. This is Malicious Gaming. This is led by XBKP. Many of you know the Malicious Gaming organization as well in numerous other amateur leagues. They are going to be slotted into the Ionia division with Collective.
Yeah, they have some previous Omega players, so I know some of them. We know Ginkwall. He's been playing in our ecosystem for some time, has graduated up over the years. Data as well is in there, and like you said, MG is an organization that has been competing in the amateur space for some time now. So excited to see them compete in ADL.
Yep, and then we have Licorice on to the Failure Division. They're going to join Omega Gaming there. These are, what was it? This is the team led by Creedog and a part of the Lotus organization, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, correct. They're part of the Lotus organization that has competed in various other leagues over the last year or two. I've seen them pop up in Excellency, Meta Shift. They played in Focus, one of their rosters, the Fever roster. So they're a well-respected org. They're decorated, have some championships across various leagues. So this is one of their higher-ranked rosters with Licorice, and they're slotted into the Failure division. So we are setting up the next wheel here. Yeah, the wheel is set
Oh,
up.
awesome. Already set up. So these are now the tier 2 teams. We're going to have 2 teams in each of the divisions. We have Wet and Friends, Radiant Storm Oracle, Ivy Gaming Black, and McCrisp. So without further ado, Quanta, let's spin the wheel to see who's going to be our first tier 2 team into Ionia. Alright, and it is going to be Radiant Storm Oracle. So this is a team from the Radiant organization. I actually haven't, this is my first time hearing about them, but there are some, what was it? It is notably led by Holy Carrot, who was a part of, I think, his former organization was Iceborne, yep. So Holy Carrot has now taken a team from the Radiant organization and is now slotted into the Ionia division.
Yeah. Holy Carrot's definitely he is a well-respected player and coach. So we see him slotted into the Ionia division here, as we see, and we are good to spin the wheel. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see who is going to be in Freljord. Alright, Wet and Friends. I believe this team is completely brand new to us. This team right now is currently in Unified's Major League division, and I think they're actually in the top in that division right now, in their group. So super excited to see them come over to Aegis, and I am excited to see how they will perform against these teams.
Yeah, I mean the roster looks pretty strong from looking at them on paper. We had some scrims against them as well, so they're definitely a cohesive roster and definitely a contender for some of those top slots for playoffs. So glad to have them playing in Aegis.
You know, they actually put their abbreviation as WTF, and then I looked at their abbreviation at Unified, and I was like, I guess I'll keep the plus there. Alright, awesome. Alright, Quanta, let's spin the wheel to see who is our last team from Tier 2 into the Ionia division. Gonna be... Alright, McCrisp. So, this is one of Kita Rossi's old McDonald teams. Some pretty notable names that we see here from actually the LHG community. Most notably, we see Egg Yolk in this, Snip My Dipper, notably for those 2 players. So we are excited to see them basically make a ruckus here in the Defenders League.
I believe Zohair is also their jungler.
Yes, Zohair is there. You're correct.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see him playing up. He's been playing in Plat Leagues for some time now, so he's playing up into the Diamond League. So it's gonna be really fun to see how he performs and see how he does. But with them being slotted into the Ionia division, we do have Ivy Gaming Black slotted into the Freljord division.
Alright, yep. So we know the Ivy Gaming Black, the Ivy organization in general. Pretty much this is the exact same roster that I saw from LHG's Ultimate League. So they're here to make it back. They made it to the quarterfinals last split. I believe they're going to be here to try and make a better performance than their last split, and I'm certainly excited to see how much they have improved.
Yeah, I mean these groups are shaping out pretty well at the moment.
What do you think? So before we go into our tier 1 teams, and we give Quanta some time to set that wheel up. I'm looking at the there's nothing that stands out to me that's like quote unquote the group of death yet, right? But then again, it is just 2 divisions, right? So
I think the tier 1s are going to be. I think even all the tier 1s are pretty balanced. All 4 of those teams that we're going to see on the wheel here shortly are going to it doesn't matter where they go. I think all these groups seem pretty balanced. Good middle pack team, good leader teams, and good. I don't want to call lower end teams, but there's some mixtures of plat players in there. But I think overall, any of the teams can take games off each other, which is really cool to see in a division like this. So it's exciting, and we see the wheel come up for the tier 1 teams here.
So before we spin the wheel,
Mhm.
I know I see a lot of people, at least the IV gaming representatives from on our Twitch chat. So I'm curious to know who Ivy wants to spin here for their tier 1 team. So as I introduce our tier 1 teams real quick, our 4 tier 1 teams is our Pawn Sacrifice White, Suicide Canes, Virtue Gaming, Ambition, and Sparta. So as I look at Twitch chat just a little bit, y'all don't want the sauce, says Pawn's team lead.
Yeah, it's doesn't want.
Let's go Ambition. All right.
We see Virtue Gaming in there too as well. All right, I guess we could just go ahead and spin the wheel, Quanta. Let's see where these teams are going to get slotted out.
All right. So with our Ionia division, our first team that's going to get slotted is Suicide Canes. So Suicide Canes, we've known these guys for, oh my gosh, I think since summer 2020 when I was the admin for LHG. This is notably Lone Reese team, and we've seen quite a few familiar faces in there, along with Aliskander, Reeve. Yep. And these guys have always been like very top performing teams. They did fall a little short due to some roster problems from the last split that I wasn't the admin of, but they are coming back with a strong resurgence for this split.
Yeah, it's one of those rosters that have, for the main part, been the same core 3 to 5 people. So it's exciting to see them continue to play together and come back and compete.
Yep. All right, without further ado, let's spin the wheel for our next tier 1 team being slotted into Freljord. Seems like we have some demands for either PSW or VGA to be in that team, and it is going to be PSW. Pawn Sacrifice White into Freljord's team. This is Legit Sect team, who we've had some pleasant conversations in our DMs. And I believe this is the Pawn organization. I've actually not heard of them before, but I think I've seen their names a couple of times in other amateur leagues.
Yeah, they've been pretty prominent in the duo esports ecosystem. Their Pawn Sacrifice Black roster, their Plat roster. I believe, I don't want to say their owner. I think it actually might be their owner, Sheer Will. I'm not going to say the middle part because I'm not going to say that on stream, but they're a strong roster, for sure, strong organizational backing, and on paper, they are the #1 point team, if I'm correct.
Yes, they are.
Yep, they are the #1 point team, so definitely the team to beat, and they are slotted into the Freljord division. We do have 2 teams left, so this last spin will slot them both into where they need to go, so you can go ahead and spin the wheel, Quanta.
All right, who's it going to be? It is going to be Sparta. So some of you may remember Howard from Team Akula. This is his team. He's got some notable names there too, like Boost His Success. So I'm sure Suicide Canes is going to be very happy to hear that they are slotted in the same division as Boost His Success. I know those two have some very fun interactions with together, but yeah, this is shaping out to be a strong Ionia division.
Yeah, Sparta looks like a strong roster on paper. I keep saying that for a lot of the teams, but they all look pretty solid on paper. And like you mentioned, some returning members from the previous LHG UL coming together under a new banner, so it's exciting to see them.
Muscles Sparta, there too.
Yeah, Muscles is there as well, yeah.
And then Stop Amy as well.
Stopping me, yeah, correct. With Sparta being slotted into the Ionia division, that leaves the last and final team, Virtue Gaming Ambition, being slotted into the Freljord division here.
Yep. So VGA is Sly's team. I'm sure many of you know Sly. He's currently actually in our APL team as a player. So this is one of his teams, also looking to be very strong, ready to make a presence.
Yeah. They're definitely a newer organization, but they do know what they're doing. They have a couple of teams competing in Unified. This is one of their diamond rosters competing here in Aegis, so we're excited to have their support and see how they do in their first split as an organization. With that said, all the ADL teams are slotted out, so folks in chat, take your screenshots, take whatever you need, because we are going to move on to Aegis Vanguard League here. You have about 10 seconds before this screen disappears.
Take a screenshot, post it in the ADL general chat. I want to see some reactions in Discord, and yeah. While we wait for this to transition into our Vanguard League, Ivar, this would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I see some rivalries potentially coming out already from Twitch chat. People are saying, "I want this person in my division," and they're landing in their division. So it's going to be
So
fun to see how these regular season games play out, or group
I'm
stages.
looking at the week 1 matchups already, and it looks like VGA and Pawn Sacrifice White are going to be playing against each other. So I think that's going to be our streamed series, featured series for our first week.
Oh, that's exciting! Ooh, that's going to be some great competitions.
Yeah.
Uh,
So strategy for streaming, at least on my end for ADL, is that I'm going to try and stream. I'm going to try and predict who the top 2 teams are on each of the divisions. So that way I stream those guys first. And that way we keep the play-ins to essentially the bottom 4 teams in each of the divisions. So that way those guys get a share. We are going to try our best to stream every single division, or sorry, every single team, especially since we have 12 teams and we're going to be, what was it? This entire league is going to be in the span of 11 weeks.
yeah. So with that said, we do have the wheel set up here for Vanguard. If you want to give a quick breakdown of how the tiers work, Dewan, and then we'll go ahead and start placing these teams.
Yep, let's do it. So for Vanguard, this is our uncapped league. So we're going to see a lot of Masters, Grandmasters, and Challengers. Essentially, it is the most elite level that we provide here at Aegis. Our breakdown here is that we have our Tier 4 teams. We have 4 of them. We have 4 Tier 3 teams, and then we have 2 Tier 2s and 2 Tier 1s. We're going to first do the Tier 4 teams. So in this case, that is going to be US Army Esports, Meme City Esports, Game 7 Mirage, and Glacial Esports. Then we're going to do Tier 3, and then we're going to do both Tier 1 and Tier 2 in the same wheel.
So we can go ahead and spin the wheel and see which Tier 4 team is going to be the first team slotted into the Noxus division.
Alright. Or Noxus? Okay, yep, Noxus. Alright.
US Army Esports.
Yep.
I guess I'll talk a little bit about them. They're fairly new to you, correct?
Yes, they are. Yep.
Yeah. I've been running leagues for, I want to say, 2.5 years now, and every Diamond and Uncapped league I have ran, we've had a US Army roster or an iteration of their roster competing. They are usually a consistent roster, middle of the pack roster, and I'm excited to see how they do against some of these higher up teams. I think the best thing I want to say is that this team is very professional and classy, so they don't cause problems, which is really nice to have, especially in the Uncapped league.
Yep. Ivar, why don't I have you introduce like the teams first, and then I can fill in the teams while we're working. And what was it? Twitch chat. I will put the link again for our group draw in our Google Sheets. I will be updating this live as the draw show continues. So while we wait for the US Army Esports, peer into our graphics here.
Yeah, so actually I'm getting word from production. It looks like the divisions are actually going to switch here. So US Army is going to be going in to
Demacia.
Demacia, yeah, and he's just updating the graphics, so just bear with us. They're supposed to be in Demacia, and the names were on the wrong side of the graphic. But yeah, we could do what you were saying, Dewan, where I'll say a little bit whatever I know, and then I'll let you fill in the tidbits. Because some of these teams I know, some of them I don't, but I know we have a little bit of a fact sheet for us here, right?
Provided by Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda, thank you so much for that information. And we see US Army slotted into the Demacia division there.
All right, awesome. Yep, I see it. USA.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's spin our next Tier 4 team into the Noxus division. Alright. And we are going to see Meme City Esports into the Noxus division.
Yeah, Meme City Esports, solid roster that's been competing for many splits in the amateur scene. I've had them compete in my leagues prior, and when I was over at Focus. They've been competing in Unified for some time now. I'm not sure if they had a roster in.
So
they had a plat roster in LHG.
They have one. Yep, they have a plat. Yeah, they had a plat roster in LHG. They've been very favorable to work with. Currently in Aegis, they have one APL team and one AGL team as well.
Yeah.
This organization is led by Afternoon, so I'm sure many of you at least know him.
Yeah, and we see it slotted out here into the Noxus division, so we can go ahead and spin the wheel and see where the last two Tier 4 teams are going to be going.
Yep. All right. Green 7 Mirage.
Yep. They are an organization that competed in our invitational. Actually, they competed our invitational. They did not make it to the finals, unfortunately, but they are a solid roster. They are currently competing in Runeterra's Academy's Uncapped League. I believe they are in first place there. So they're
All
looking to see
right.
if they can bring their success over to Aegis. It's been the same core of 4 to 5 players that have been played together for 2 years, going from org to org, but keeping the same Mirage moniker. We've seen them under Mad City as Mad City Mirage. We've seen them under Kuma at some point. We've seen them under I'm not sure where else they've been, but they've bounced around. But the original iteration has been Gang 7 Mirage, and they're back to the original name. So excited to see them slotted into the Demacia division. But with them being slotted into Demacia division, the last team going into Noxus is Glacial Esports.
Yep. So Glacial Esports, I'm sure. I think I'll at least a decent amount of you. I don't know how many of you guys have been paying attention to the proving grounds, but they actually pulled off an upset onto Cloud9's amateur team. At least pulled off one game against them. So I don't know if this is exactly the same roster, but we are excited to see how much of ruckus they're going to do in the Noxus division.
Yeah, and we see those teams slotted out here. I'm excited to see how these teams do against the higher up teams according to the tiers we've distributed according to the ranks of the rosters. I think they're all well experienced rosters in terms of organizational backing and how long they've been playing together. So it's very possible that they're able to use that synergy to potentially pull some upsets off. So it's exciting stuff.
Yep, totally agree. So while we wait for the tier 3 wheel to be set up,
you want to talk about the format just a little bit? How
Sure.
we're going to have the regular season,
yeah,
group stage, we call it, right?
Yep, we call it our group stage. So this is both for ADL and AVL. So it's going to be 12 teams with 6 teams in each of the divisions. So each of the divisions are going to have a single round robin that will span 5 weeks. After that, no one gets eliminated from the group stage. We order everyone based on their performances into standings and assign them rank values based on that. So rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, rank 5, rank 6. And we go through a 3-week play-ins. The top 2 from each of the divisions are going to auto-qualify for playoffs. Those top 2 teams for each of the divisions, in this case 4 total teams, are going to do another single round robin against each other, and those are going to be best of 2s. The bottom 4 teams in each of the divisions, in this case we have 8 teams total, are going to go through a 3-week Swiss bracket. So essentially what happens is that if you lose 2 of your series in that Swiss bracket, you are eliminated. And if you win if you win 2 of your Swiss brackets, you qualify into playoffs. So, and it will be after that, it will be an 8-team single elimination playoff bracket.
Yep. It's a new format that Dewan and I have, actually Paneer as well also helped with this format we have come up with. We tested it last split, and we're really excited to see how it comes over to these higher up leagues. Firmly believe that the formats have been getting stale, where it's just 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, 4v5. But nonetheless, we have the wheel set up here for the tier 3 team, so we can go ahead and spin the wheel here, Quanta.
Yep, so our tier 3 teams are going to be Dare Black, Trans Tyrants, Rock Tribe, and Cerberus. So let's see, our first team, that is going to be Rock Tribe. Yep. So Rock Tribe, I believe, is a team pretty relatively new, but the members are not as new. They've all been acquainted with each other for quite a while. They were assembled as Glaive Amethyst in September, and have played in multiple other leagues such as in Risen and XLNC.
Yeah, I think they're actually currently competing in Unified. I don't want to say. I think it's actually UPL. Yeah,
I think they're in UPL right now. Yep.
Yep, they are competing in UPL. So they're joining us here for our Uncapped League here at Aegis Vanguard. So they will be slotted into the Demacia division there, as we see, and we can go ahead and spin the wheel to see which of these tier 3 teams are going to be slotted into the Noxus division.
All right, let's lay it. Looks like it is Dare Black. So Dare organization is, I believe, pretty new, right?
this is their second or third split, but
Mhm.
first split with Colton as in their management.
Ah, I gotcha. Okay, cool. Yep. So I believe this is their PG team. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They had both the teams competing in proving
Okay.
ground. I don't believe this team qualified. Uh, Dare White qualified, if I remember correctly. Dare Black was
Yes, I think so.
in the qualifiers, but they are competing in Unified, I believe.
Mhm.
They're in UA, Unified Advanced, I think they call it now. Previously UCL, but excited to
Yep.
have them in the Noxus division here. And now we can spin the wheel to see where these last two teams are going to be slotted.
All right, and it is going to be Trans Tyrants. So Trans Tyrants, I believe, is a team um, coming from the Vancouver slash British Columbia area. Um, I have the notes. I made the team for fun to train the next generation of academy players. So we are excited to see how this team is going to pan out against a lot of our other teams here in Vanguard League. I believe this is a team that our admin Amanda knows.
Yeah, they're slotted in with a bunch of Masters and GM players, so definitely a higher ranked team. Um,
Mhm.
Nobody I specifically know on the roster, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to compete at the level here. So I'm excited to see how they do. But with them being slotted into Demacia, we have the last and final tier 3 team of I believe it is Cerberus being slotted into the Noxus division here.
Yep.
Any notes that they provided us on Cerberus at all?
Unfortunately none, but Cerberus, I think, I actually don't know too much about them, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
they didn't really provide much of a background information, but I believe they're a team. I remember seeing their team in UPL, but I'm gonna have to double check.
let's look at their roster here. I know Greco. He's somebody that I've seen compete before here. That's their ADC. Um, but nonetheless, looks like a full Masters roster.
Mhm.
So they're definitely a contender here for that playoff for those playoff spots. So excited to have their support and have them placed into the Noxus division. We will be having the wheel set up here shortly for the tier 1 and tier 2 teams. And as I say that, the wheel pops up. So we have,
Wow, that's pretty quick.
yeah, production gap,
All
I
right.
guess.
All right, so with these teams here, this is actually where we're going to see a lot of our challenger players into these teams. So that's why they've been slotted up into the tier ones and tier twos. We have Glaive Esports Prime, Conviction, Ergodum Evolved, and AOE Phenomenon.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and spin the wheel here. So we'll know where the first team is going and we'll go from there. Conviction is the first tier 1 team being slotted into Demacia.
Yep. So Conviction, they are currently in EGL's PG, or was it EGL's was a tier 2 tournament for proving grounds, and they are actually, I think they might be in contention to play into playoffs for that
Solid,
tournament.
solid roster. I think their coach is previous First Blood coach and owner Piccolo. I'm not too sure. I believe so. Yeah, I'm pretty confident on that. But with that being said, we have the other tier 1 team, Glaive Esports Prime, being slotted in to Noxus, I believe. But I think we're gonna
Yep.
spin the wheel once we have this graphic updated. So just bear with us. Yeah, they're both slotted in, and we see that there. Let's see what pops up on the wheel here. Okay, so
Right. Ergodum, since technically we're going to be going over to Noxus division since we've been doing Demacia and the Noxus, Ergodum involved will be placed into the Noxus division.
mhm, with AoE Phenomenon being placed into Demacia.
Yep.
So we could talk about these teams now. I guess we'll just go from top to bottom. Let's talk about Glaive Esports Prime a little bit.
Mhm.
Our invitational winners. Solid roster. Very notable members on their roster from the amateur space over the last year or so. They have DMR in the top lane, Zadox, Sandalian. Who else am I trying to think of? Super Big Ego in the mid lane, and I believe their support is Ratchet. He's a big Nautilus player from what we saw at the Invitational. So excited to have them compete. They won the Invitational, and they're looking to retain their championship here and be the winner of the inaugural season here.
Yep. And then over of our Tier 2 teams, we have AoE Phenomenon in Demacia, and many of you know the AoE orgs. They have about, 2 or 3 teams that are competing for Proving Grounds. I believe they've accumulated enough points to have at least one team qualify for Proving Grounds. This is one of their development teams that are going to be taking part into our Vanguard League.
I believe previous LHG winner is the jungler. I believe Hex
Yep,
Mist is
Hex
the
Mist.
jungler. Yep.
And actually, Dot was the runner-up to one of our LHG's, I think, Champions League when we had it back then, and when he was in Void Atlantic.
Awesome. And then last team being slotted in to the Noxus division is Ergatum Evolved, another team from our invitational here. Do you have any notes on them, or should I just speak on what I...
Well, their challenger player is Callum Coy, who is playing at bot lane. Unfortunately, I do not have much information on them other than what we've seen in the invitational.
Yeah, we saw them play an invitational. They played pretty solid against. I think their first matchup was against Mercenaries, and they did pretty well. Excuse me, except Mad City, and they won that series, if I believe correctly.
Yep,
and
they made it to semis.
Made it to semis, where they fell to Mercenaries. I wanted to say, yeah, fell to Mercenaries, correct.
Yep.
But excited to have their support and have them placed into the Noxus division. But that will be the placement for our divisions for AVL here. Take your screenshots so you have what you need. Do you want to give some closing remarks, Dewan? Any more information you want to provide to the teams here?
For sure. So I'm going to have all the schedules set up for both the AVL and ADL teams, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 hours, and then we should by tonight select our stream series as well. For everyone involved, thank you so much for taking part of the group draw. In regards to game day processes and our rules, so after conclusion of this group draw, we will now be enacting our weekly roster limits. So if you guys need to make any roster changes or update any name changes, please do so in our roster change form that we will be providing in the Discord server. Please read the rulebook, and specifically just for sections 7, 8, and 9. Those detail everything and very clearly our game day processes, and including our tournament processes outside of game day as well. So this goes everything into regards to e-subs, roster player confirmations, and then and then side selection as well. So make sure that you guys are at least familiar. If you guys do have any questions, though, feel free to ask us. We will be happy to answer them. Otherwise, our first series is going to be our Vanguard League at Monday, and then followed up with Defenders League on Tuesday.
Yeah, excited to have these leagues start. We already had week 1 of our APL and AGL this past week, and definitely seen some upsets, some hype matches, some banter being thrown around. So excited to see what AVL and ADL have to bring. With that being said, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dewan. Thank you, Quanta, the man in the headset, the genius behind all of our graphics. I appreciate everything you guys do, and we will see you guys on Monday at 8 o'clock for week 1 of our Aegis Vanguard League.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.